Hello, I am pleased to welcome you to our channel. And so, news for January 3rd, it was a quiet day, different from the previous ones in its quietness. Despite an air alert in the southeastern regions, several operational tactical level drones were shot down, and limited missile strikes were carried out on frontline and border regions. It is worth noting that Russian Federation continues to employ terror tactics, but despite this, the enemy has conducted a limited number of missile and air strikes, although this has caused destruction and damage in several regions of Ukraine. In one attack over Kiev on January 3rd, our air forces shot down 10 Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. These missiles were successfully defused using the Patriot system, demonstrating the high effectiveness of Ukrainian forces in defending against the threat. Unfortunately, there were civilian casualties, but thanks to prompt measures, damage to energy systems and water supply was stopped. Work to restore infrastructure is already underway. Despite the activity of armed hostilities, the Ukrainian military continues to effectively repel attacks and strengthen defensive lines. The preparation of the next strikes on Ukrainian territory will take several days, which gives time to analyze and prepare for possible new attacks. To date, the operational situation remains stable and controlled. Limited air and artillery attacks have been recorded in various regions of the country, but thanks to the measures taken, major damage has been prevented. Ukrainian troops continue to reinforce the border and prevent attempts by enemy sabotage groups to infiltrate the country. According to the latest information, there are allegations of a possible buildup of the enemy's military group and a possible attempt to attack Chernihiv region within 1 to 3 weeks. However, from the point of view of military experts, this seems fantastic. At the moment, given the high tension on the front, the enemy is forced to move its troops along the front line, rather than build up their numbers. For example, the brigades previously stationed in Bakhmut are now being withdrawn from their positions to be moved to other directions. It seems unrealistic to talk about the possibility of increasing the military grouping, given the already high mobilization of Russian troops last year. In fact, approximately 40,000 Russian troops entered the region last February, and that was assuming that Ukraine had only about 300,000 troops in service. Although the total number of troops to be drafted in the country is much higher, Ukraine now has over 1 million troops, allowing it to stretch its troops along the border and create fortified areas to defend the country. In terms of military tactics, a successful invasion of any one region, whether Sumy, Chernihiv or Kharkiv, requires a force of about 100,000 to 150,000 or even 200,000 troops. This is an operation that requires a strategic approach with a border break and an advance 100 to 150 kilometers inland and then 25 to 50 kilometers inland to consolidate. The situation in the Seversk and Slobozhansk directions remains tense due to shelling and casualties. However, thanks to the efforts of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, there were no significant changes in the front line over the past 24 hours. 57 clashes were recorded in the area of responsibility of the Khortytsia Task Force, where Ukrainian defenders successfully repelled enemy attacks. In conflict zones such as Bogdanivka, Kyiv and Andriivka, the enemy failed to succeed and retreated to their original positions. Task Force Tavria is monitoring the situation in the Avdiivka direction, where General Tarnavsky emphasized the lack of significant fighting, which may be due to either the upcoming January 6th holiday or other factors, as Christian Christmas is celebrated later in Russia. Although the percentage of Christians in the troops is low, this does not prevent anyone from celebrating the holidays. Other areas are also seeing positional fighting with no significant change in the situation on the front. Russian President Vladimir Putin in his statements denies direct Russian military activity in Ukraine and blames the military-political Western Bloc for what he says has led to military action against Ukraine. He also declared the West's hostility toward Russia and linked its actions to attempts to split the country apart through the Ukrainian conflict. These statements indicate Russia's desire for a pause in negotiations, which may indicate an attempt to keep tensions high on the front. We also continue to counterattack the enemy, not stopping at the original borders, but moving further inland. In this regard, we are preparing and equipping new lines, where we are achieving tactical successes. Overall, over the past few days we have noted a slight tactical advantage in our favor by changing the front line. Ukrainian aviation and our missile forces have successfully struck at areas where enemy personnel and equipment are concentrated, As a result of our actions, the enemy lost 680 occupants and personnel, while reducing the number of combat encounters at the front by half. A significant amount of equipment and weapons of the Russian troops was also destroyed. Outside Ukraine, different events are taking place, where conflicts end and begin, where the settlement of problems turns to armed clashes, and sometimes, on the contrary, peace and harmony begin. On January 1, 2024, the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic ceased to exist officially. The document on the dissolution of all state institutions of this republic came into force. And Baku is negotiating the withdrawal of Russian peacekeepers remaining on the territory of this republic, which is now controlled by Azerbaijani troops. Azerbaijan is restoring local self-government, state attributes, and strengthening the border with Armenia to ensure stability and peace in that region. In the Far East, by contrast, tensions are rising. South Korea has held military drills near its border with North Korea to increase readiness for possible provocations. Poland is considering purchasing South Korean artillery systems. North Korea, having demonstrated its military capabilities, is emphasizing the strength of its weaponry. Despite this, the quality of the shells raises certain doubts, which is confirmed by abnormal cases of ammunition explosions at firing positions. This in turn leads to losses of artillery systems and personnel. In contrast to this tension, the departure of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz may have positive implications for Ukraine. His eventual resigned deputy, Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, supports the Ukrainian army and has expressed willingness to provide more modern weaponry, including precision air defense systems. The appearance of the 1K-1448 Yast artillery reconnaissance radar complex in Russian Federation service is noted. The cost of one such complex is estimated at $250 million. However, Ukraine reported the destruction of this complex. It happened almost immediately after its appearance on the front. Western politicians have expressed a call to provide Ukraine with modern weapons, including long-range missiles. The Czech Republic recently transferred 26 new D2SAOs to Ukraine, along with thousands of projectiles with a range of up to 5 kilometers. These contracted deliveries are intended to strengthen Ukraine's defense capability and demonstrate support from Western countries. While festivities and celebrations continue in Moscow, surrounding areas are facing aerial battles and explosions. A recent incident involving an unauthorized rocket that landed in Petropavlovka, Voronezh region, killed 11 people and injured more than 21 others. Thanks to all who watched this video. If you want to stay up to date and get the latest news, then subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to not miss new releases.